End Time Truth Television, the channel for the lovers of truth, for the truth of the end time. So if you are a lover of truth, give us a subscription and God bless you. Shalom. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. God bless you, good people. Is Peter Nwachukwu actually sentenced? Has he been sentenced to death? Is there truth about his being sentenced to death? You will find out in this video as we tag along. I just want you to be patient with me as I read to you the latest information as it has to do with the man. So I'm giving you this from a very viable print media, Punch Nigeria. And this news is coming out today. Today is the 27th day of May 2022. And this exercise that we are going to hear about the fate of the husband of late sister Osinach Nwachukwu, who died on the 80th of April 2022 after it was alleged that her husband treated her badly. And, you know, kudos to the government, because we've not seen them react this way. We're fast in coming and fast in reacting, fast in, taking the man to court, maybe because of the Minister of Women Affairs, who happens to be a woman that got interested in the case. So the title is Osinach, Federal Government slams homicide charges against husband. And we have the news here. The federal government has filed 23 count charges against Peter Nwachukwu, husband of late popular gospel artist Osinach, who died on April 8 after he allegedly assaulted her. He was charged under sections 104 and 379 of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act 2015 by the Attorney General of the Federation. The defendant was charged with culpable homicide contrary to section 221 of the Penal Code, which is punishable with death. Note this area here, punishable with death. All right. The case with charge number CR/199/2022 was filed at the High Court of the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, on May 20, 2022 by the head Sexual and Gender-Based Violence Department of Public Prosecutions of the Federal Ministry of Justice, Mrs. Yewande Bola Awokpetun. The 42-year-old musician died after spending days at an undisclosed hospital in Abuja. Nwachukwu was consequently arrested by the police after colleagues of Osinach, who was a lead singer at the Dunamis International Headquarters, Abuja, accused him of beating her. Count 1 reads that you, Peter Nwachukwu, 56, male, on the 80th of April 2022 at Ako Estate opposite Police Station, Lugbe, Abuja FCT, within the jurisdiction of this honorable court, did commit an offense to with culpable homicide punishable with death, in that you caused the death of Mrs. Osinach Nwachukwu by your various acts of violence and aggravated assault, with the knowledge that her death would be the probable consequence of your acts. Count 2. Statement of offense: willfully placing a person in fear of physical injury contrary to section 4 subsection 1 of the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act 2015 and punishable under the same section of the act. Now this happens to be the account of the Punch newspaper, but other daily news like Daily Trust has something more that I didn't see in the Punch report. And I will just quickly read the same thing. The charges of culpable homicide under sections 104 and 379 of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act 2015 and section 221 of the Penal Code and the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act (VAP) were by the Federal Ministry of Justice before the FCT High Court. The charges dated May 20, 2022 was signed by the head Sexual and Gender-Based Violence Department of Public Prosecutions of the Federal Ministry of Justice, Mrs. Yewande Bola Awopetun. The prosecutor accused the defendant of forcefully ejecting the deceased from the family home and pushing Osinach out of a moving vehicle. You know, some of us didn't even hear this, that the man forcefully pushed the woman out of a moving vehicle. The prosecution further alleged that the defendant deprived the deceased of her personal liberty by restraining her movements and locking her up in the house. Nwachukwu was equally accused of emotional, verbal, and psychological abuse contrary to Section 14, subsection 1 of the VAP Act 2015. The defendant was said to have denied Osinach access to her money for medication and household necessities and forced her into begging and borrowing. The charge further alleged that Osinach's husband forcefully isolated and separated her from her family by preventing the deceased's mother and siblings from visiting her matrimonial home. Nwachukwu was also accused of cruelly beating the children and recording their cry and playing it on his phone. So these are other updated information from another daily newspaper, Daily Trust. Here you have leadership news, which basically is the same thing with that of Daily Trust. Federal government files 23 count charges against late Osinach's husband. Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice Abubakar Malami has dragged the husband of late popular gospel artist Osinach Peter Nwachukwu before a high court of the federal territory. All right, so I will just stop it here now. But in case you are thinking of the caption that you saw, the title that you saw, see, that title is not actually mine. Some of us don't read things well. I put a question mark on it. You see, the person that did that, I saw that caption. I was surprised because we didn't just hear any sound of cutting. The next thing we heard is the thudding sound of a tree falling. I was like, when and how was he tried immediately and was also already sentenced? I'm not going to call the person's name, but you see the caption as it appears on my screen, on your screen there, that it is not me. So I was just asking that question. And actually, that was what made me to venture into trying to find out what the truth really were, what the truth really is. And I found out that the case has just begun. The case has just begun. The man has not been sentenced, but he has been charged. Now, there is the possibility that he would be charged. I mean, he may be sentenced because it was read to him there. Let me get it again. There is a probability that if he is convicted, he will be sentenced to death. Nwachukwu was charged with 23 count charges under sections 104 and 379 of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act 2015 and culpable homicide contrary to section 221 of the Penal Code, which is punishable with death. So homicide here is punishable with death. So that means that it is possible that this man might be sentenced to death. Let's look at homicide. Homicide means the killing of one human being by another. Homicide is a general term and may refer to a non-criminal act as well as the criminal act of murder. Some homicides are considered justifiable, such as the killing of a person to prevent the commission of a serious felony or to 8. A representative of the law. Other homicides are said to be excusable, as when a person kills in self-defense. A criminal homicide is one that is not regarded by the applicable criminal code as justifiable or excusable. All legal systems make important distinctions between different types of homicide, and punishments vary greatly according to the intent of the killer, the dangerousness of the killer's conduct, and the circumstances of the act. And so that is where it gets a bit brighter and somehow more elaborate, because it is in the news now that this man, it is in the news now that, after the death of Osinachi, it got to people's notice that the so-called husband, was married to, or is married to, another woman. So probably he was using Osinachi to get whatever he wanted to get, and got to the point where he was really, really fed up with the woman. And the next thing was to find a way to eliminate the woman. So, and that was why, or that could explain the reason why he did all those things, all the wicked things that he did, committed those atrocities against such a woman in order to get rid of her. And unfortunately, I hope that the bus has stopped for him. I hope that the ball has stopped rolling. I hope the stone has stopped rolling for him, that he pays dearly for his wickedness. This is an impromptu update for you, and that is why you can see that my environment is not the normal place I used to stay to do this. But I just hope that this, in a way, serves a little to make you, to get you updated. So what I'm trying to say here is that the man has not been sentenced already, but there is every chance that he would be. And the title I gave was not to mislead you, but just to call attention to the ones that I have seen. God bless you. Let me know what you think of this. I'll be seeing you in the next video shortly. Till then, from me to you, shalom.